1, 2.
And now,
One, two, three, four.
pads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Ray. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Fenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Fremo.
Oh yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day of not going to Duncan, and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now, the two guys that took 2 years to fix their audio problems.
Welcome to BGFG, episode 344. I'm your host, Chris Fenix, and unfortunately, Fremo cannot join me this evening, and he is getting back on track, but he's got a couple of tropical storms down where he lives. He's had back-to-back ones, actually, and he's literally sitting in a deluge. I don't even know if that's how you say it, but he's wet. He's very, very wet. So he's trying to just stay dry as much as he can. He definitely can't turn on the internet and jump online. So it's me by myself, and I got a lot of news for you this week. We're going to be touching upon a lot of Microsoft stuff as usual. We're going to be talking about, some T-Mobile stuff. We're going to be talking about some gaming stuff. We're going to talk about I already said T-Mobile. All right, let's get into this week's show because might as well just jump into it.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
So first up in this week's news, we got a little bit of controversy going on, actually. It's Windows. So, again, Microsoft folds like a chair. One of the big problems with Windows itself is all the legacy stuff. So you get all this shit from back in the day that has to be compatible. Apple doesn't do this, and this is where I wish Fremo was here because he could debate this with me. Apple ends of life stuff like super quick. You know what? Let me rephrase that. It's not super quick. They just end of life stuff when it's needed. When the operating system or the computers that were sold with the operating system can't actually function with the newer stuff, the new operating system, where they think that the system's going to suffer, run slow, bog down, have apps that aren't going to work, they just simply end of life it. Microsoft just simply refuses to do it. Now, I thought that, like everybody else, I thought that for 1 minute, Microsoft might be taking a little bit of a stand and maybe, just maybe, trying to do something right for a change. And what they did was they folded like a chair, is actually what they did. The reason why legacy stuff is there is, the reason why your grandmother's 15-year-old printer works. It just bloats out the operating system completely, just to support cheap businesses that won't abide by buying new software. I can tell you plenty of auto mechanics, plenty of them, that are still running Windows XP because of the Chilton manual that they can't update or they don't want to pay $8,000 to update. And I agree, it's a lot of money. But if you're doing a successful business, or if you're doing any business to that matter, this is a business expense. You can write it off. Buy it. Buy a new computer. You don't have to buy a gaming computer. Buy a new computer, newer computer that'll run it, and buy the operating system and write it off in taxes. But they don't. They just want to keep the same old, same old. Nobody can support it. They can't fix it. When it breaks, they're screwed. I don't get it. Now, you might not be able to, at first, you couldn't upgrade Windows 11 to anything slower than an 8th gen Intel, I believe it was. It was an 8th, I believe it was an 8th gen Intel processor and newer were the only things you could do with Windows 11. But, of course, like I said before, Windows folded like a chair. And if you buy it outright, you can install it on anything. It doesn't even matter. I mean, some of the specs that they were showing, it's just not going to be worth it. I work in the industry. I'm telling you right now. I had a computer today. Literally, a computer today that was a Toshiba. It was about 11 years old, I believe the client said. It was 11 years old, and they wedged Windows 10 on it. I don't know how, because, again, if you look at the stats on some of these operating systems, they're minuscule. They're like they don't even matter. They're like 2 gigs of RAM and an Intel running at 2.5 gigahertz. Really? A processor running at 2.5 gigahertz and 4 gigs of RAM. Are you out of your mind? Will it run? Yeah, it'll start up, it'll run. It's not going to run well. Don't even open 2 windows and you're screwed. It's just more problems for the repair agents and the people that are older that come in that want to do this. And they did the same thing with, and like we discussed before, Microsoft has no real direction in what they're doing. You have requirements lowering for Windows 11. The operating system in the cloud is kind of there for Microsoft. They're trying to push like a Windows in the cloud where you open up a specific browser and you can just go to Windows that way. Again, I get it. They're trying to do what Chrome's doing, but it's not the same thing. And their Windows in the cloud may or may not work. I mean, it's still not even fully hashed out. I don't think. But they're trying to pivot the entire business to more of a Office app or web-based stuff, including their operating system. The operating system, I think, is a bad idea to put on the web, but they're moving their Office products. And the first place you're seeing this is with Chrome. Chromebooks that you have that you've been installing Office. And again, I can't tell you how many times I tell my clients just not to bother installing Office. Number one, Outlook is a absolute dumpster fire. Outlook is awful. It doesn't work. It's broken. They're not supporting the standalone app anymore on many occasions. I had a client. It's okay. Look, when you have an aunt or an uncle or something, I'm talking to all the sheeple. Talk to your people, Talk to the sheeple that you deal with and explain to them that if you're using Microsoft Outlook, most likely because you were comfortable with it as some sort of business, and you have one email client in there, it is not worth it. Plain and simple, it's not worth it. You have a school bus for one passenger. It's just it doesn't make any sense. It's just so bloated and overdone. Outlook was designed for a business for multiple reasons, but it was designed for a business. If you're just checking your Hotmail, or like I had today, a Yahoo Mail, which is now run by AOL. Verizon and Yahoo's email is run by AOL, and AOL is already a dumpster fire. So, again, they have those mail services now. If you're using those, shame on you, because they're shitty. And if you know somebody that's doing that and you have not convinced them, you're their tech support, you're their IT person, and you haven't convinced them to get off of that, shame on you again. If they still have a Verizon account, an AOL account, or a Yahoo account, shame on you. And if you run a business and you have one of those 3, shame on you. And you should be shamed. It just sucks. In fact, I think I actually have that. I do.
Shame. Shame.
You should feel shame.
Shame.
Absolutely, for adding those things out there, because it's just shit stuff. And now the standalone apps for Chrome are going bye-bye. They've been on Chromebooks since 2017, but as of September 18th, Microsoft has discontinued support for the standalone apps. Now, we know people hate change, but this might be a good thing. The web services can be easily controlled and updated by Microsoft. So if you direct somebody, anybody, friends, family, relatives, all the sheeple you have in your life, if you direct them to the Outlook.com website, they can still log in, they can still get their information. But if they're using like a Yahoo or a Cox or a Comcast or a whatever email they're using, and they feel comfortable and they just want that email, have them go to the web service directly to the site. It's never going to drop because it's a cloud-based. It's supported and run by the provider itself. So you don't even have to worry about a third party. Let's say if, I had a client come in the other day with Outlook Express. Outlook Express, that thing's been discontinued for like a decade. And they still had it. It still worked, barely, but they had problems with it, and there was nothing I could do to fix it. And they were very upset with me because that's what they're used to. And I understand that change is hard, but sometimes there's just things that can't work anymore. You get more features from the web-based stuff because that's where everybody's pivoting. Everybody's pivoting to the web. So when you take your Outlook.com and you go on there and you have access to Word, Outlook, you can do whatever you want on there. Just have at it on there. Do it. I think it's a step in the right direction for Microsoft and any company that wants to make things web-based. Just pull your apps and push it on there. But, in saying that and moving forward, I think Amazon needs to slow down a bit. Amazon definitely needs to slow down. It's not enough that they're putting smaller businesses out of business because of the different things that they do. And I get it. They have an S3, which is their cloud-based and web storage, and that thing's phenomenal. I know personally, my wife and I can find anything we want on Amazon almost all the time. You might as well say that when something's out of stock and you say find it now or whatever that term is, it'll find it. So it's kind of like being an eBay in some ways, but with no auctions, just a straight out, flat out pay. But it's really not enough for Amazon that their workforce already hates them. And it's definitely not that they need the money. But it looks like Amazon will be dipping their toes into the buy now, pay later world. And they're going to do that with Affirm. And Affirm is definitely... The hell did I have that for? Oh, yeah. Affirm is definitely one of those things that it's the biggest. It's the biggest BNPL player out there. And they're good at it. But the buy now, pay later model, I don't think works. I don't think it works at all because you can easily buy a bunch of shit and then just say, I'm not paying it. You can either claim bankruptcy or you can just change your address or whatever. But good luck in finding them. They're testing it now, but they have no indication as to when it's rolling out. To get access, you need to do a soft credit check. So that leaves me out. What and how long you'll pay is determined by the soft credit check. And let me just add to the credit. Well, firstly, you can get a 3 to 48 month payment plan, and even better is you're gonna love this. It's 3 to 30% interest on Amazon buy now, pay later. So again, it's one of those things that it revolves around the credit agency. And Fremo and I have talked about numerous times on the show that the 3 credit agencies are absolute bullshit. There is no rhyme or reason to any of their stuff. Bullshit. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to any of their methods. I know black people that literally have a better credit score than me and can get denied for the same credit card. I mean, you're talking 100 points more. They'll get denied for a credit card, and I will get approved. 100 points more. And then when you contact them, first of all, if you go and do one of those free credit checks, you'll notice that there's a bunch of stuff that's on there that shouldn't be. They don't give a shit. You got to take care of it. And then your credit score goes up by 10 points. Wow. Why is my credit score so low? I didn't do anything. I have one credit card. Yet my credit cards, you don't have enough credit. Okay. You get more credit. Now you have too much credit. Like they have no indication as to what's right and what's wrong. They are not run by any government agency. They're not overseen by any congressional or government agency. They're just do what they do. They base a credit score on whatever they fucking feel like, and it's bullshit. And I don't think really Amazon needs this sort of thing. It always starts off, innocent, but then derails shortly thereafter. And you're going to see them taking a plunge, and then they're going to raise prices of other things. It just sucks. And I mean, look at the security landscape. It's the same difference. You got people going into different areas that they really don't need to be in. You recently heard the news that Norton and Avast will be merging. Who the fuck cares? Who cares? Okay, they're going to form a company that nobody's going to care about. We've said it before, AV isn't for everyone. It just isn't. I don't use it. Fremo doesn't use it because we don't go to places that infect us. And even that, I can tell you in my job, I look for them every day. I haven't seen an actual virus in years. Seriously, people, years I haven't seen a virus. I've seen browser hijacks. I've seen malware. I've seen unwanted programs. I have not seen a virus. And I remember the days of viruses like worm viruses. I think I've seen one Trojan in like 3 years. It's insane. And Norton has not always been needed. So Norton is a phenomenal program for businesses, keeping businesses locked down. But so many people like Outlook, so many people used Outlook and Norton at work that when they got home and they purchased a computer and they spent a lot of money to do work at home or whatever they wanted, they just went with what they saw at work. And at work they had Outlook and Norton. So at home they put Outlook and Norton. Norton at the time took 30% of your resources on your computer every time. And they really don't do anything. You know, they have other features of them like defrag and all this other wonderful stuff that you're never going to fucking need. Okay? And Avast was free for ages. And then they kind of sold out and you started getting spam and all shit. It was free for a reason. Norton's changed their name. They're not even in the same business anymore as Norton LifeLock because they bought LifeLock. So they're using Norton LifeLock as a selling point where you can protect your information, your privacy. Look, we've told you on the show before 100 times, if you think that you're in any way private, you're full of shit. There's no privacy left in the world. Now you can scale back. You can not allow some personal information, but make no mistake, all you Karens out there and all the people that you know that are Karens and Kevins that don't want their kids photographed, they don't want this on the line, and I don't do this. I use double antivirus because I'm just trying to secure my shit. You're lying to yourself. You are out there. It's public. If somebody posts a picture of you at a wedding somewhere that you authorized, that picture is going to be everywhere. You can never take it down. If you're doing a table dance at a wedding and somebody snaps a picture of it and posts it, shit, 3 people post it. You're screwed. That picture's never going anywhere, ever. It's just not. There's pictures that have been on the internet for years and years, and it just sucks. You know, Norton changed their name, and Avast went from free to paid a long time ago, and it still sucks. They're out of the Czech Republic. Windows has antivirus built in, people. Windows has it, and it's good. It's not bad. It's good. That's all I've ever used. I've never even opened it. I shouldn't say that. I've opened it a couple of times, but I've never had to do anything with it because it's always just there. It's just there and it works every single time. There's no question about it. I haven't had any issues. Now, have I had any pop-ups? Not really. I've seen customers have pop-ups. Have I had any malware? No, because I'm cautious at what I download. I make sure I go to the actual site. I make sure when I bring it into my computer, I right-click and I scan it with Windows Defender. I do what I need to do, and I've never been affected. Now, if I run a scan on here right now, will I find anything? I might find some registry settings changed maybe, but you can't even detect, you can't even confirm where those are coming from. All you can say is that it was. So if a web camera decides to change the setting in the registry for itself to be used all the time, then that's not necessarily malware, but at the same time, you didn't want it to happen and it never asked you. So you change it back. Now your webcam doesn't work and you come see me. Most time companies merge to create something better, but I don't see it. I think it's an insignificant merger of 2 products that nobody really needs, and they're just trying to stay afloat and make more money. And speaking of money, the last story in the news segment today is actually a money grab, and I want to let everybody know that because you might have heard about it. And again, it might be non-sequential news, it might be good news. I don't know how you want to take it, but this time it's the kid from the Nirvana album. So if you remember the Nirvana Nevermind album, the little baby that was on the album that was swimming in the water, iconic. That guy is now suing. That asshat is in his 30s, and he's suing for, get this, child pornography and exploitation. I can't make this shit up, ever. Spencer Eldon is his name. And he says that his identity is forever attached to the commercial exploitation, sexploitation, I might add, that he experienced as a minor. Seriously? I didn't even know your friggin' name until I read this article. All I knew was there was a little baby that probably doesn't even remember that he was on it. In the briefing, it said that the defendant knowingly produced, meaning like Nirvana or whoever took the picture or whatever, knowingly produced, possessed, and advertised commercial child pornography. It was the late 80s, early 90s. Took a picture of a baby in a pool. That's what you did. It wasn't child pornography. Now, the parents of Spencer never signed a release. Again, late 80s, early 90s. That wasn't a thing. Spencer has said that he suffered over the years and will continue to suffer. Suffer, you say? Are you suffering when you cashed in on the 4 other pictures that are easily available on the internet? In fact, I'll even pull that shit up because I haven't updated the pictures because I'm a moron. Here's all the pictures. If you're watching the video, here's all the pictures of him doing that scene multiple times. In fact, there is 6 of them. So don't tell me about your friggin' suffering. You're full of shit, and I'll call you out on it any day of the week. All right, so that's it for this week's news. Let's get into this week's music. And in support of Nirvana and that album cover, we're going to do Nirvana Aneurysm. Those on the video, unfortunately, you're not going to hear it. Those on the podcast that pick up the audio podcast to drive back and forth to work or wherever you're going, you'll get the song. But those that are watching video, sorry, you're not getting it. We'll catch you on the other side.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
That was Nirvana, Aneurysm. It's just a great song. I love that song. I didn't want to play I hate Smells Like Teen Spirit. I hate it. I worked in radio at the time, and that's all we were getting in. I mean, the song, when I say the song blew up, I'm not kidding. That song was so hot everywhere. College radio, regular radio. It was everywhere. People are jamming it in their cars. It was insane. And that's all I got requests all night long was Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit, so I just stopped playing it. I hate that song. But Nirvana itself is great, Dave Grohl. And Aneurysm, I think, is one of their finer songs. It's a great song. All right, so let's get into the stick style this week, which should be relatively fun-y, kind of, I think. Like, I don't know. Just, I'm going to rant. I'm going to rant. I guarantee you I'm going to rant. All right, let's get into it.
Gaming.
All right, first thing in this week's Stick Style News is the GPU update. I know everybody's waiting for it. You still can't get one. But I will say this, that the prices are coming down. I said it before that I would pay just about anything, anything electronic like that. Oh, excuse me one second. I know anything electronic, I would pay, $200 to $300 above MSRP for like a console, graphics card, CPU. You know, it depends on what it is. That's usually the limitation that my wife and I set is, you know, if we want it. Let me give you an example. We had the opportunity, like when not many people knew about it, but the PlayStation 4 released a 500 million special edition PlayStation. So after they sold 500 million of them, they released a special edition and it was numbered. It's translucent blue, like you can see right through it, dark blue, and it's got everything on it, or anything that's not translucent blue, is a a copper, like legit copper. And it's very subtle. And there's a plate on the front, copper plate, that has a number of the limited edition. I think they made 50,000 of them. I have like 34,000 something. It was tough to get. Like, we tried. We woke up at midnight. We really tried. We had 2 computers going, 4 windows in each computer, and we couldn't get one. There was a gentleman that lived 2 towns over that had bought 2 of them. He purchased 2 of them. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. Purchased 2 of them and was selling them. He was flipping them. Now, this is a PlayStation 4. Even in its heyday, it was a $500 console. He was selling them for like $1,000 or over. And we called him up and we were like, look, we'll pay X amount of dollars. And he's like, nope. Like, all right, we'll talk to you later. Sure enough, it was like 3 weeks later. Was it 3 weeks? She's not even here. It was like 3 or 4 weeks later. We called him because they weren't moving. None of them were moving. Nobody knew about it. Nobody wanted to pay that kind of money for something that they didn't know about or hear about or that was popular. And I knew what it was, so I wanted it. And she called the guy again. My wife did. And he was just so frustrated that they weren't selling that he was like, yeah, whatever. And we ended up getting that console for $600. So 100 over MSRP. Perfectly. I love that thing. I got 2 of the controllers. I got the headset and I got the console. I bought all the accessories later, but the console and a single controller we got for $600. And it's well worth the money. So when it comes to any of these other stuff, I'll pay $200 to $300. Really, that's tops that I'm going to pay. And I got to really need it or want it for some specific reason. But it looks like the scalpers are starting to come down. Now, with that said, some of these cards, like, you're looking at a 3080 Ti. That's a $1,000 card. That one's ridiculous because I've seen those for like $2,000, 1,500, crazy numbers. But a lot of like 3070s, 3080s, not Ti, 3080s are like $800 cards going for like $1,200. That's not really that bad. If you're building a computer and that's all you got left is the GPU and you've been waiting for that GPU, you've maxed out everything, trust me, you might not have built a computer before. You might just purchase prepaid. But when you're into building computers, you have to wait a lot of times and save your money to get these different parts. And you have to really plan it out and get the right parts that match and were tested correctly. So it's really a time-sensitive thing, but you have to have the money to do it. I, for instance, will build something and cheap out on something like a CPU. Depending. I'll cheap out on a CPU knowing that I'm going to get a better CPU later when the prices come down. When the scalpers are doing this sort of thing and they're starting to come down, that means you're going to be able to get these products a little bit quicker. So hopefully some things will loosen up by Christmas. It's going to be pretty cool. But there's other problems on the horizon, in my opinion, and this is where my rant's going to come in. Microsoft will be releasing, or has released, and I want to put it up on the video because you guys are going to love this. On the video, you'll see that. That is the Xbox Halo Infinite Series X. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is gorgeous. It's not what I thought. So, I got a dry cough. So, it's gorgeous. I'm so happy about this. But you just can't get one right now because they've all been purchased. Microsoft announced their pre-order. And everything's gone. It was gone instantly. The people with bots grabbed them. They were gone. And they immediately popped up on eBay. They did. So here you have a $549 console. I believe it's $549. Let's just say $549 for now. $549 console. I think that's a little steep. Now, first of all, I want to get this out of the way. I do think this Xbox is gorgeous. If you're watching the video, you'll see it. If not, pause the podcast and just search for it real quick in your browser. It's beautiful. But what I thought they were going to do is really make it like some sort of case. I expected green, and I expected to see a giant 117 or some other Master Chief identifier on there. So I'm not disappointed. I'm just pleasantly surprised, I guess, because this looks really, really, really nice. It's definitely something I want to purchase, but you can't get any of them. Scalpers grabbed them all, and I think it's a damn shame that this shit just keeps going on, and I don't know if nobody's trying to stop it or nobody's had the ability to stop it yet. I don't know what the answer is. You know what? I'm not going to... let me take that back. I think I know what the answer is. I think the answer is to secretly ship them. Do what Apple does. The reason why Apple's able to do that shit is because Apple ships their stuff on pallets that are wrapped. And these wraps... I don't even know what they say. I think they just have a number or some shit like that. You don't even know... If you're an employee, you don't even know what's in it. It's just a number on a white wrapped pallet. And then on a certain date, you get to open it, and then you go, holy shit, they're here. I just watched the announcement, that type of shit. I think that's what Microsoft needs to go to. I think that's what all of these companies need to go to, whether it's an Amazon or a Walmart. I don't know if it'll work for Amazon. Walmart, GameStop, Target, Best Buy. I mean, it just goes on and on. If you made it so that you got 10 deliveries or, a pallet, really, a pallet. I know that you can't do it right now because of the chip shortage, but if you get a pallet and you put it in the building and then you cut it open and then you put it out, whether it's Christmas, late November, early December, middle of the year, I don't give a shit when, but every so often you drop these off, you're going to sell them. And there's no question about whether, did a bot get it or whatever. No, I got up at 8 a.m., I went down to the store. I waited, whether it was in line or just in my car. And when the store opened, I walked in and I got one. At the first day, you might have to wait in line. But after that, you're going to be able to walk in there and be like, oh, you got one? And maybe you'll be able to order one to have shipped at home because that's the big popular thing right now. But there's ways around this. And I'm pissed off that I couldn't get on there and get one in any way, shape, or form. It's just, it really bothers me. And it bothered me before with the GPUs because I was trying to build computers for my kids. But now I'm really pissed because this is something that, like, two of my sons said that they looked at and they were like, that's awesome. I want one of those. That's unbelievable. So the controller is equally striking. Let me show you that thing. That thing is unbelievable. Look at this controller. If you're watching the video, look at the controller. If not, again, pull over, stop and check it out in your browser. The Halo Infinite controller. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is another I think, home run for Microsoft or from the Xbox division. I can't even really call them Microsoft. They're really their own entity. Not like the atrocity that's the Forza Horizon 5 controller. That thing, look that shit up while you're over there. That thing is awful. That thing was so awful. Oh. So this is a Elite controller, Elite 2 controller, and it's stunning. The end tips of it are black rubber. The rest of it's green. The keypad is gold. It's well done. It's very, very well done for a Halo controller. They made a similar controller previously. It was similar. It had the green. It had, and I still use that thing to this day. I love that thing. It's a go-to one. What really excites me is that this controller is the Elite 2 controller. I have if you were ever on the fence about spending this much money on a controller, here's the benefit. I've had the Elite 1 since it was launched. I have the Gears of War version of the Elite controller. And it is by far the best controller I have ever owned in my entire life. I've had to have it fixed once. And I don't think it was a drift. Was it a drift? No, it was a button. The bumper was broke, the right bumper. So that I had to have that fixed. And the guy that did it, I didn't know how to do it. I didn't want to. I got like so far and I fix it, and then I went, oh shit, that's hard. I ain't doing that. So what I did was instead I found a local guy that'll take a shot at it, and I figured, he warranties his work. I talked to him. He's like, yeah, I'll get you another one. So that was kind of cool. So he did it and he replaced it. It was pretty cool. The only thing on the Elite controllers like that is that the rubber on the back depends a lot on how you play. I'm a very aggressive gas guy in racing games, so the way I squeeze my pinky, ring, and middle finger on the controller actually pulls that shit off. So over time, I've pulled the rubber off the bottom of that Elite controller. But a little bit, I looked it up online, and somebody took the chance to do it. And if you just touch a little bit of glue, it'll go back on, and it'll be like brand new. But it's basically rubber, and it gets stretched out because you're stretching it. This controller apparently fixed that problem. I don't know how they did it, and I don't care because it's stunningly gorgeous. And it has the same case, and I'm telling you from owning the first one, the case and the attachments are where it's at. Because for racing games, I have a tall left stick, and I have a very stubby, short right stick because I don't need it. I just don't want it in my way. I want to rest my palm over there. Or I want to move my palm over a little bit to the left. But for first-person shooters, I have a completely different. Like, you have rounded top ones, you have concaved ones. So I guess concave, convex ones. It's just a perfect controller. I cannot. The weight of it is brilliant. And then when I saw the Elite 2, which is what this Halo one is, it's stunning. It looks great. The case can charge as well. There's a USB connection in the back of the case, and you can charge in the case. Once the case charges, it will charge the remote, I think, once. It's brilliant. When you unplug it from the controller, you can take that case, and that case will sit there and charge it. If you want to have it on your desk at home, open the case, take the charger out. It's magnetic. It's magnetically connected in there. And put it on your desktop. Connect the USB to the back, plug it into a power source or your computer, and wham, you have a charger right there. It's just really well done, and it has all the connections. Now, the back flippers, I've tried to use, and I want to get used to it. If the new Forza Motorsport comes out, I'm definitely going to do it. I just got to get used to them for shifting up and down, kind of like a paddle shifter. That's what I want to use them for, and this controller just excites me at what's possible, because I know that the Xbox custom controller people came back with a vengeance. They just wanted to I just ordered the Aqua controller. What the hell is it called? Aqua Majestic. Let me look that up real quick, because that's important. So you guys need to look that up. That one's a short money one too. That one's only like, it's only, I think it's $60. So with tax and shipping, it's like $70. It's called the Aqua Shift. And the Aqua Shift controller is another stunning controller. I wish they came out with a stand for it. I have the, I pretty much have so many of the good-looking or limited edition controllers. Again, that's my preference for the games that I like. I have the Mandalorian one that I got from Microsoft, or not from Microsoft. No, this one came from Razer. No, this one came from Microsoft. Beautiful controller downstairs at the stick style computer. I have the Darth Vader one from Razer. Again, good controller. It's a very generic controller with a good interface. But this Halo Infinite controller is on a whole nother level, people. This is the thing you want. Right now, MSRP, $200. eBay and shit, I'm saying don't spend more than $300. I'd spend $300 on it, without a doubt. I'm looking forward to that controller so much. So much. But getting one, it's getting to be nasty business for this stuff. Scalpers are everywhere. Picking them both off right as soon as they were announced. And speaking of nasty business, did you hear about the Overwatch character? So anybody that's played Overwatch, and again, I've played it before, I've posted it, we've streamed it. Overwatch is a good game. I think it's very well balanced. I'm not personally into it right now, but I've played it for a large amount of time and really enjoyed it. But an Overwatch character is about to be renamed. And this is because, believe it or not, of the whole Cosby suite thing. So if you remember correctly, I think last show or the show before, we talked about the Cosby situation where they had the Cosby suite. And the Cosby suite is the group of employees. And I have a picture. If you're watching the video, you can zoom into it if you can, or you can just search it on Google. But there's a picture. If you look up Cosby suite, then you'll see a picture of a bunch of the employees in the infamous hotel room with a picture of Bill Cosby that they're holding up. It's really disgusting and it's shameful. They should be ashamed. Apparently, McCree was named after one of those employees that's in the picture. And Jesse McCree, which was actually the employee's name, was employed for Blizzard until August of this year. He left because, again, the name came up in the lawsuit that we talked about before on the show. Another problem stemming from, just bad decisions, just terrible decisions. And Blizzard has now promised that nobody will name characters in any of their games after actual employees. So there's that. I guess that's a good thing. I mean, I don't know. Let's get into the last segment of the show. So in For What It's Worth, I want to try to take For What It's Worth segment and bring it into something. I want to try to morph it a little bit. And this week we're going to talk about T-Mobile. So T-Mobile has an update. And I thought this was kind of nice that the CEO, Mike's, I think it's Sievert, sent out a follow-up letter that we talked about previously in the shows where T-Mobile got hacked. And it was a bad hack. And they did solid by sending out IP protection software for their customers. They texted the people immediately that got hacked immediately. I didn't get one. My wife didn't get one. None of us on our plan, which there's only like 3 of us, none of us on our plan got hacked and got that text message. But a lot of people did. Leo Laporte did. He got a text message, and what it was basically an apology and saying that you've been compromised. You should change your passwords. Here's a free 2 years, I think, of ID protection. But what I thought was nice is the CEO came out legitimately and said, and I quote, "We didn't live up to the expectations we have for ourselves to protect our customers." End quote. I thought that was brilliant. Not like in a cocky way, but just in a genuine way. Like, no CEO is going to do that shit. Then he went on to say, and I quote, "Knowing that we failed to prevent this exposure is one of the hardest parts. We are truly, truly sorry." End quote. Again, I think this guy's being brilliant. Now they've hired a cybersecurity company provider by the name of Mandate, which is weird, and a consulting firm, KPMG. And one of the most interesting parts of the story that you're not seeing in the news is that the guy's name that hacked it is John Binns. He's a 21-year-old American living in Turkey. And he told the Wall Street Journal that he was a hacker and that he was mad about something. And it's not even that important, but he was mad about something. So he scanned T-Mobile's own addresses and found an open router somewhere that happened to be located at their data center in Washington. It could have been a router. It could have been a hotspot. It could have been a router that somebody just put up temporarily to test something. It was just insane how he found it, and perfectly lucky. It took him a week to sort out all the data that they found in a data dump. And then, as far as they know, as of August 26th, Bin hasn't even sold any of the data. He hasn't. So, I mean, that's a good thing. Nobody thinks that he sold it at all. He just took it to prove a point, to piss off T-Mobile and make them look bad and lose share and get broken, shit like that, over something completely different. But on a good note, I just want to say that they also do have the fastest network right now. They've beat everybody else according to PC Mag. And it's listed as 5G, which makes me laugh because we talked about it on the show before. That's not the 5 gigahertz, which is awful and should be used. But 5G mostly stands for 5th generation of LTE or whatever they're using for frequency. And it's just crazy. So lastly this week, the last thing on the show I want to talk about is just the sheer misunderstanding that I have. So everybody's job can be stressful, and I've learned that it can be more. My job can be more stressful, or any job, I should say, can be more stressful if you let it. And I've learned that recently. My company, as everyone else is doing, flat rate for raises now because it's not a lot of money. Again, like we spoke about earlier in the show, Amazon's killing us all. It's killing us all, and for businesses wise, and they're just taking a lot of business away, and it's really sad that happens. But now it's come to the point where if you work in retail, most of the time you're not paid or given a raise upon merit anymore. It doesn't matter. Merit doesn't matter at all. It's just time in. So if you're there, then you get 3% or 4% or 2% or whatever they want to give you. They're going to give you that amount every single time, nonstop. Doesn't matter. You could do a great job. You could do a shitty job. You're going to get that if you've been there a year or another year, I should say. And it's pretty shitty. But I'll tell you this. I want Tim Cook's raise. I want his yearly. Because that motherfucker just pulled down $750 million in bonuses for his yearly. I want that shit right there. That's what I want. All right, that's all I got this week. So Fremo is actually going to be making a triumphant return very soon. I'm assuming when he, get dries off, when the flood recedes. I don't know. He'll get around to it, but he's going to be making a triumphant return. He says he's done traveling, so it should be good. That's it for this week. 10's Down, show's over.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.